Hey guys, today we're planting the caladiums, and these are the shade-loving caladiums, and they are tropicals. So I have raised these indoors from tubers I've had for 2 years, and I started them inside in April in a little bit of soil in a pot and put them on a heat. They had to be on a heat pad and lights until they were ready to come out to be hardened off because of being tropical. And now that the weather here we're in West Virginia, zone 6, and going to be the middle of May, probably when this video goes up, and finally our temperatures are going to be in the 80s consistently and 60s at night, and it's a little humid, so they'll love that. Caladiums also like to be in protected areas from wind, and this is a great area under the tree. We're getting a windstorm tonight, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to support my irises before we shut down the video today. But I'm going to add to the soil a little bit of my compost. That's all you have to do. This is well drained. And I think I mentioned these are the shade-loving ones. They make sun-loving ones, but I have none of those. And the good news is these will look this beautiful until the first frost. Once it frosts, then you dig them from the ground, let them dry out, and store them either in newspaper, which I used this year. I think you can store them in peat moss, and then start them over again. So this is a good way to keep using your plants. So let's get started. And I've set these in this, you can see how all of a sudden when you set that in that area, it adds so much color. So I have beautiful red one that's going to go, yeah, this one goes here, that one goes up in there. And all of a sudden when you stand back, it just adds so much brightness to a shady area. So here we go. There's really not, it's not hard getting these potted, and I'm excited about how far I like getting mine started early, because if you just put the tubers out right now, it's gonna take it a couple, probably a month to get this much leaf going. So it's best to start your tubers indoors on a heat mat under lights a month or two before you want to get them planted outside, so that you can have some really nice color. Let me get my compost. And this is my compost. It's not any kind of the mushroom compost. I'm going to stick that in the soil. And I never fertilize mine through the summer. They say you can use 5-10-10. I've never done it, and they really do well. So let's get this little tuber out of its pot and stick it in the ground. We're having a good, warm, rainy week. And there's one. I mean, how hard is this going to be? I don't think it's going to be difficult at all. But it adds so much pizzazz to a shade garden. Let's do that. And a couple scoops. This is, oops, 1 or 2 tubers. That'll be all right. Don't get excited. Stick it in the soil. It'll be fine. Oh, that's going to be so nice. This one here is pretty. We got this a couple years ago down when we go to Raleigh to visit a friend. There's a wonderful, in Greensboro, farmer's market. Just as we're leaving, that we're able to stop, and gosh, they have the nicest plants. And we stopped there and found this beautiful red. That just adds so much color. So I'll just go through here, and you can see how quickly it brightens this whole dark area with just a few plants. And the other thing is, you buy them once and you can just use them over and over again. And some of them have multiplied, some haven't. So that's the other good thing. You can in there. Dig that in a little deeper. Oh, there we go. Very nice. I like that. And we just have one more pot. And I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to try this in this area. This gets a little more sun than that part of the tree, but it may be shaded enough by these ferns. But I can always move it around if it doesn't do what I want. And I'd like to get something for the front of the border, and I don't know what that's going to be. Let's get some compost. Something maybe, I don't know if alyssum will go here or not. There may be more than, I don't know what I'm going to get in this pot. There are several little plants that have come off of this one tuber. So I'm going to plant them all, maybe get this in the center and see. Yeah, I can separate that out a little bit. I'll do that. And we'll see how they do. Easy, 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 and adds such an impact of color. And they like to be moist, but not real wet. So I will give everybody, of course it's going to rain today. I may not have to water anything. And they were moist going in there. It feels so good. This is the last of the seedlings that I started, the tubers that I'm through nursing everything. They're in the ground now, they're on their own. So there's the caladiums. Give them a little blessing. And now I'm going to take you over here to how I support my irises. And I mentioned that they're calling for maybe some heavy winds. And I want these to look as pretty as they can for the next few weeks. We have the 50th class reunion coming up next weekend. And if I can keep these from being beaten down, that would be great. And then we have a wedding, which I have to learn how to make a bouquet, and I hope there's some kind of flowers, for my friend's wedding. You say yes to these things, then you think, oh my goodness, what happens in the meantime? So what you do, you take a nice bamboo stake, you stick it as close as you can to the stem, being aware of the rhizome, so you don't puncture the rhizome. I've gone through and done several already. And then I use a gardener's twine, and I try and set it so that these other buds, here we go, can bloom. I don't tie it tightly, and that's all you have to do. And these stems are very sturdy on your iris if you don't have any iris. But when they say we're getting some damaging winds, I hate those alerts because you never know. When they say those things, they just make me nervous as a gardener. But I'm going to support these. It didn't take much time. And that's all I'm going to do. And from my view, it isn't very distracting to see these little sticks. They blend into the background. When you stand back, you can see everything's been staked. And I love the big blue. That's its name, Big Blue. That has a wonderful stalk on it. They all have good stalks. So if you have irises, you need to support them in a windstorm. Otherwise, I think I am finished with all of my seedlings and plants. Yeah, Brad, you're right. This week I need to do a little video on how I need to limb. Look at this maple. This is the most, look under there. I need to, take up some of this, limb some of this up and take off some of the weight. So I'll show you how I'll do that this week. It's a beautiful plant. There's a nice weed growing out of there too. But you can't even see my sweet little Buddha under here. So I'll get in here. I'll get underneath of there and we'll limb that up this week, and I'll show you how I do that. Plus I need to also, now that the lilac's finished, I probably need to do a video on how I trim that back. Because whenever anything that blooms is through blooming, that's when you trim it back. But for now, that's, I think I can just sit on my deck and watch everything bloom and enjoy it. Also, the pond cycled out the mud, so I don't think we have to tear that out. So Reg and I are both happy about that. That's gardening on the West Fork, planting the caladiums and giving you a heads up on several other things. Thanks for watching. We'll see you the next time. Bye.